DTV neither supports nor rejects the views expressed in this program.
Brave people.
Meeting people.
South Africa winning by 62 votes.
Life.
Travel.
We meet a deaf poet who has a love of languages in Bloemfontein.
Love is life, natural, irrational, and very important. You can say, I love you.
Is this culture with its rebellious nature truly art or vandalism? I'm here in Johannesburg to meet a woman who's done a master's degree on an unusual topic. How would you define graffiti?
Graffiti is something that I think is just human nature. We want to leave our mark somewhere, and in its truest form, graffiti is just a scratching of your name. It actually comes from an Italian word, but graffiti as we know today is something quite different, and it is still got the idea of your name, and it comes from New York in the late 1960s. And there was a guy who used to just go up on the subway cars and leave his name, and then it grew to be big writing later on, but now it's a lot more imagery as well. But it's a very particular subculture, and I think that's what makes it different, is people who sort of follow a subculture and the rules that that subculture brings with it.
What role does graffiti play in society?
Graffiti is a voice for people. And you know, for a lot of us, we don't actually have a voice. We don't have a way of expressing ourselves. And so graffiti is that. It's a way to express yourself. And that's what my master's was about. It was an idea of, you know, especially if you're in a place that has a lot of, you know, your freedom of speech isn't there. It's the one place you can write on a wall. It's not always legal. You can write on a wall, you can write your feelings down, you can write your name down. And so it is really, it's the one place for many people where you can express what you want to say.
How did you get into graffiti and what sparked your interest?
As a child, I was quite creative. Just like most children are, I would draw and make things. And then in my early teens, I started skateboarding. And through skateboarding, you would see all the visuals of graffiti on the walls. And you know, I met up with other kids in my teens that were doing it, and they showed me and kind of introduced me to the culture. And then, yeah, basically 10 years later, I'm doing it professionally and, you know, as a hobby, and it's just stayed with me.
Swimming around a goldfish bowl, mostly cause I got nowhere to go. By the castle like a council block, thinking about what I ain't got. Looking down at the colourful stones, this place I call.
What did you explore in your master's degree?
Even though they never speak out of fear.
My master's degree is on the heritage value of graffiti. So it's looking at graffiti and why can it be important to us. And so in my opinion, graffiti is a really good resource. You know, if a place is in war or it's having a lot of problems, one of the ways people can express themselves is through graffiti. And so I'm looking at how that can be a record for us. And there's lots of different artists, and they all have their different reasons for doing graffiti. Many of them have done it for over 10 years, so they're very passionate about it. Some just want to do art. All the reasons are different, and I think that's probably why the art varies so much, is because everyone has a different idea of what they want to do.
But you'll never swim out of here. Looking around at the world I have seen, it's not much like a magazine. Even though the sky is blue, those photo shoots just don't seem true. But I like to read, and you like to read, and we wanna see what we wanna see. So come on everybody and jump in with me. Yeah, it's easy to find my way.
How long have you been on the scene?
This is my 10th year. Can't believe it. So I started in 2005, just as I was finishing matric or so.
What is your current style?
Wild style is something that traditionally in graffiti has been something that the public can't read, but mine is more readable, I'd say. Semi-wild style, or, there's a lot of different techniques that go into graffiti. So I always try and paint something really colorful, and I also paint a lot of community-orientated stuff, like we paint children's homes and all kinds of different projects to do with sustainable energy and things like that. So I try and represent what's going on around me in the city. I find that Joburg is quite an active and fast-paced moving city, so I like to kind of express that in my art.
Swim out of here.
What was the first thing you ever wrote on a wall?
So the first thing was some sort of obscenity, I think. It was a swear word, or, like most people seem to write a swear word or draw something like horrible, maybe like a phallic image. I don't know why people always, I guess it's the negative connotation that graffiti has, so they always just go towards something negative, but eventually, you turn it the other way around and start making positive stuff coming out of it, yeah.
What is tagging?
Tagging is something that is a very big part of graffiti. A lot of people who are not graffiti artists hate tags because they are done on people's houses and walls. I personally love tags, but a tag, just like in basic description, is a signature. And it's the first thing you do. So graffiti has many different levels, from a tag to a masterpiece. And a tag is sort of the lowest level. You can do it in a few seconds, you can do it with a pen, you can do it with a spray can, and it's just your signature.
Is your graffiti work legal or illegal?
Graffiti will always have an illegal element to it. That's how a lot of people start, and then gradually work their way up to being legal artists. I myself don't really do illegal work. I do a lot of legal work, hence you can see my face, like I'm cool with it. I do tours, like I promote graffiti. I'm not into illegal work.
Why is Jersey a good place to paint?
Johannesburg's an interesting city because it doesn't have any strict laws governing graffiti. In a lot of international countries, the police crack down really hard on it. In Cape Town, it's hard for people to paint because they've implemented a strict bylaw that restricts people from painting without a proper permission kind of slip and design approval. So Joburg makes it's a lot easier, It's kind of like the Wild West. It's like you can kind of just do whatever you want in a way, and the police are pretty cool with it.
piece behind me is by a lady called Lady Ayoko from New York, and she is a world famous graffiti artist, which means she travels all over the world painting. And this piece here was done for free, so she'll go around the world, get paid to do art, and then travel to places where she feels people need some art. And so this is done for free for the people, and it's all done with stencils if you have a look at it, which I think is so fun.
What is your favorite surface to paint on?
Walls are usually the preferred surface and the most common, but I also like painting on really old buildings, old abandoned, broken down, derelict buildings. I mean, it looks like graffiti belongs there. There's certain places graffiti doesn't look right. If you do graffiti in the suburbs, it's got a totally different feel to doing it in an abandoned building in the city. So, you know, I like that sort of grittiness and the grunginess of some of those kind of abandoned places, you know.
Graffiti is a very contextually driven thing, so I try and look for something a little different every time, I suppose. Although I'm pretty easy. Flat walls are great, steel is great. Anything that's rough or has an interesting uneven texture. You know, I'm very visual, so I'm also very visual with what it comes to my medium, you know. So anything that's interesting.
Perceptions on this art form changed in recent years?
The thing that makes me happy when I walk around Johannesburg is the graffiti, because it's colorful. I see how people react to it. I see how all the little kids in the inner city react to it. And I really think that perceptions have changed. You know, we do these graffiti tours, and we can get about 50 people on one tour if we advertise it on Facebook. And so it shows you that people are really interested in graffiti. And this is the normal public who are just wanting to know more about it, take some photos, and really enjoy it. And it's really worth coming to see yourself.
Any crazy experiences happening to you while you were painting?
Graffiti has let me live a life, you know, nothing short of miracles. I mean, I've gotten to fly overseas and paint stuff there. I've gotten to do big hotel jobs and just meet a lot of wonderful people and express myself every day. I mean, just normal street people, other artists. You know, every day is like an interesting experience for me doing this.
Does Joburg need more graffiti?
That's all I have to say, yes, it needs more graffiti. The world needs more color. You know, it's funny, sometimes I go and I do walls, and like, I phone the people and I say, hi, can I paint your wall? And they say, oh no, I'd rather you just leave it gray. And I wonder, those people must sit at home bored out of their minds, you know? Like, I don't know how you can live without a bit of color in your life.
We are in Bloemfontein, where we meet someone who has a dream to become a poet.
Do you like cats?
Do you?
Oh no. This is part of my job. I paste these into the book and I mark the spine as well. It makes it easier to find a book.
How did you become involved in poetry?
I started liking poetry when I was about 16 years old. I was watching DTV, reading the subtitles as the hearing poets recited. I like writing and reading stories. I love stories that inspire me. I thought, why is it just the hearing? What about the deaf? I felt I could do this by using sign language and an interpreter voicing for me.
You love languages. In which language do you write your poems?
I write mainly in English. I want to write in another language, but I do not know how. I'm learning other languages slowly. I know Sotho as well. My ears can't hear. Why not listen? My ears can't hear, but my mind can race. Learning and thinking and knowing. My ears can't hear, but my nose can smell. Coffee and flowers and the sea. My ears can't hear, but my eyes can see. Colors and movements.
So far, you've been writing your poems. Have you ever recited your poems to an audience?
Yes, I have. At the President Hotel, with my interpreter there, I recited to a hearing audience. It was amazing. I enjoyed it a lot. I hope to recite my poems to a deaf audience.
How did the audience react after you recited your poem?
I can't really say. I knew they didn't know sign language, and that didn't scare me. I recited my poem in sign language. In the end, everyone was very emotional and some even cried. It was overwhelming with a lot of hugging. I felt proud.
Where do you work and what do your colleagues think about your passion?
I work at the Free State Library Services. All the books that are purchased, even internationally, get sent to us. My work is to prepare the books. From here, it gets sent to the 5 districts, who then send it to their libraries. There, the public can access these books.
Who are your role models?
Madiba. I read his book. He was a great leader and role model for the people. He's my favorite. Is it all done? Yes. Thank you. Is that the list? Shop, shop. Thanks. A real relationship has jealousy, tears, hurt, stupid, unnecessary arguments. But you must trust, have faith with a smile, or genuine laughter. Love is life, natural, irrational, and very important. You can say, I love you.
What is your goal as a poet?
At first, I have to develop myself. My goal is to do a deaf comedy or a drama.
As a young and upcoming poet, what limitations do you face?
Not having an interpreter for communication. Such as when I have to recite my poetry to a hearing audience and there is no interpreter.
True, yes.
Maybe in future there will be technology where I don't have to rely on an interpreter. That is my dream. I know silence. It gives me time to prepare, to listen with my heart, not with my ears, and with my eyes so full of passion and determination. I know silence. I've waited so long to hear songs so clear. And I won't have to wonder or to cry any more tears or to hide from any more fears. And always know in my heart that it is okay to be deaf.
I'm amazed that you're currently writing a children's book. How does it compare to writing poetry?
Poetry is heartfelt and emotional. My book is about being deaf and acceptance. It encourages people to accept being deaf and not to see it as a negative or bad thing.
You've told us what your goal as a poet is, but what about your own personal goals?
I'm currently studying IT. My dream is to be a founder of something. Some idea, IT related.
What message do you have for the South African deaf community?
You have skills. Rise up and use your skills. Don't be afraid. Know that you have skills. Don't limit yourself. Look after yourself. Rise up. Next time, we will start with new sign language lessons. Check us out on Facebook and on our website www.deftv.co.za. Cheers!